Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have the head of state has received his a delegation from the UNDP regional office. For the international scene, United Kingdom's Prime Minister Boris Johnson appoints his government and move to a Brexit. Welcome to our newsroom. President Anglais sent his sad condolences to the Tunisian brothers people. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, sent a message of condolence to the speakers of the Parliament of Tunisia on Thursday following the death of Tunisian President Beji Caid Essebsi, who is also in charge of acting as Supreme Magistrature. It was in horrors and shock that I learned of the death of the President SFC. President Guelleh wrote expressing his solidarity and compassion to the brotherly Tunisian people in the wake of the loss of one of their most illustrious sons. Please extend my heartfelt condolence to his family, relatives and friends, as well as to all members of the Tunisian government and brotherly people, said the head of state, who described the late Tunisian president as an inveterate patriot who commanded respect through his charisma and his great state culture. Is his greatest merit will not only be to have reached all levels of responsibility in Tunisia, it will also be that incompressible rages of justice and equity by virtues of which he always aspired to the best for his compatriots. He added, among other political achievements to his credit, the contemporary will always remember him as the man who worked for the reorganizations of Tunisia under the aegis of the national unity and harmony in the aftermath of the Jasmine revolutions in January 2011. Not the Djibouti president, the late Beji Caid Essebsi, 92, has long been a well-known figure of the Tunisian political scene, in addition to the functions of President of the Republic, which he held until today. The day of his death, he has previously held the functions of Prime Minister, Minister and Ambassador, patriarch at the head of an important family. He leaves behind him a widow and 4 children. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has received today, Thursday, late mornings at the People's at the Palace of the Republic. The administrators of the United Nations Development Programme, Mr. Hashim Steiners, Djibouti and UNDP have enjoyed special relationship of cooperation for 40 years in almost all areas of development, including job creation and the design and financing of major development projects. The UNDP representative in Djibouti, Ms. Fatima El Sheikh, the coordinators of the United Nations systems in Djibouti, Barbara Manzi, took part in the meetings between the President of the Republic and the UNDP administrator. On the Djiboutian side, the Minister of Foreign Affairs International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, attended hearings. The Director of the Multilateral Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Guelleh Idris Omar, also attended these meetings. For his part, the chief of the delegation, Mr. Steiner's visit to President Guelleh is part of a working visit to Djibouti, the main site from which he planned and delivery of United Nations humanitarian assistance to the war-affected Yemeni brotherly peoples has been organized for several years, he said. For his part, the Minister of Foreign Affairs International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, has indicated that the purpose of Mr. Steiner's visit to the head of state is to establish a collective plan of actions involving Djibouti and United Nations to increase, through the inter-Yemeni peace agreement in Stockholm, the level of humanitarian assistance to be provided to the wounded people of Yemen. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohammed Warsama Diriye, received a delegation from the Islamic Development Bank, led by the African Director, Mr. Musa Silai, as part of the periodic review of the health project being implemented by the Islamic Bank. Indeed, the discussion is focused on the various projects financed by the Islamic Bank, such as the renovations and extension of the emergency and resuscitation unit on behalf of Peltier Hospital and Sheikho Hospital in Balbala, the rehabilitations of the CMH in the interior regions, and the constructions of national laboratories specialized in the public health for ENSPD. It should be also noted that the interview was therefore held in the presence of the Secretary General of the Health Minister, Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab, the Director of External Financing, Mr. Ali Mohammed Ali Gadili. In addition, the Islamic Bank is also responsible for the supplies and installations of modern medical equipment for all relevant structures, and also for capacity building programs with a series of in-service training courses for health workers. The People's Palace has hosted the closing ceremony of the regional workshop to validate the national strategy for awareness raising and education on the marine and coastal environment in Djibouti. The 2 days of this intensive workshop were intense and fruitful. Participants exchanged experience and finally validate strategy to raise awareness among all stakeholders in the coastal areas of Djibouti and Somalia to preserve the marine and coastal environment in the Republic of Djibouti, the Somali coast. The workshop was organized by the Ministry of Urban Planning, Environment, Tourism in collaboration with the regional organizations for the conservation of the environment of the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, known as PERSGA. The head of sectoral departments such as French Navy, Keep It Coast Guards, Port and tourism representatives participate in the workshop. On the side of the Republic of Somalia, environmental and city officials from Mogadishu participate in the workshop. Colonel Zakaria Hassan Adan, Chief of the Staff of the National Gendarmerie, received it in the afternoon of Wednesday, July 24, at the headquarters located at the barracks of Captain Hamadou. Strong delegation is led by Mr. Abdelkhani Mahmoud Ateye, Somaliland Minister of Defense, and composed of the Somaliland representative in Djibouti, general officers and senior officers. After a brief meeting held at the office of the Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, representations of the Gendarmerie on its rich and long history, its mission and its organization was made to the delegation in the main meeting room of the General Staff. At the end of the presentation, the head of the delegation, the Somali Minister of Defense, said he was very touched by the warm welcome extended to him and his delegation. The Somali Minister of Defense then referred to the objectives of his visit, which is to ensure good bilateral cooperation. Under the aegis of the Minister of Justice, an awareness workshop on the implementation of the National Strategic Awareness Plan to fight trafficking in persons and smuggling of migrants in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration with the financial support of the U.S. government was held yesterday morning at the Regional Councils. This workshop chaired by the Deputy Prefect, Mr. Yusuf Ali, in the company of the Acting President of the Regional Council, Mr. Abdi Mahmoud Ige. This workshop to bring together all the heads of the department concerned and different armed forces. It should be recalled that the objectives of this workshop was to focus on the facts on trafficking in human beings, forced labor, sexual exploitation, forced begin organ trafficking. As part of the program to promote and protect human rights, the Al-Hiba Community Management Committee organized an awareness-raising ceremony on children's rights at the fight against genital mutilations. This ceremony is organized in close collaboration with the National Unions of Djibouti Women, UNFD, and UNICEF. This ceremony is an initiative to promote young people's rights, such as obtaining a national identity card, on refusing for young girls, and fighting drug The ceremony was attended by the CDC officials, UNFD representative, community leaders, and representative of Women's and Youth Association. It was chaired by Mr. Hassan Ibrahim Abdallah, UNFD project coordinator, who reminds us that this kind of awareness raising is regularly organized to improve children's rights and do so to children, he said. In preparations for their friendly match on Friday at Anglais Stadium, the Djibouti and Ethiopian national team continues their training at Anglais Stadium in the presence of their respective staff, the two teams defending the color of the two sister countries, Djibouti and Ethiopia, who will play in a friendly match as part of the qualifying round for the African Cup for young local players aged 20 years, and they were impressed by the service and logistics made available to them. The Red Sea Sharks and the Ethiopian team have promised to show Fridays at Anglais Stadium on an exciting quality match. That is why the State Secretariat for Youth and Sport invite young, old, and all kinds to come and cheer the teams on to make this beautiful event happen. For the international scene, Boris Johnson unveils his government of Eurosceptics after being officially appointed Prime Minister by the Queen. Former London's Mayor Boris Johnson announced the member of his government composed to carry out Brexit. A large part of Theresa May's team's heavyweight have been discarded. The new British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has made a clear statement to surround himself with Eurosceptics with the promise to leave the European Union on 23 October with or without agreement. Women and ethnic minorities in the spotlights. The first appointment he made also confirmed his desire, announced by his relatives, to promote women and personalities from ethnic minority. Former banker Sajid Javid, son of Pakistani immigrants, has been appointed Minister of Finance, strategic positions in the context of Brexit, particularly in the event of Brexit without agreement, which could generate severe economic turbulence. Until now, he was Minister of Interior, a portfolio taken over by Priti Patel, 47, an ardent Brexit lawyers whose parents are of Indian origin. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.